Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. The system's cold prompt sounded as I signed the final mark on the divorce agreement. Strategy task failed. The host will be removed from this world in 15 days. I looked up and pushed the signed agreement to Sophia across from me. She was looking down, messaging her childhood friend, smiling gently, and without lifting her head said, "Signed? Ethan, you finally did something sensible for once." I said nothing, just looked at her, staring at the woman I had loved for 3 years and courted for 3 years. From today on, it's all over. She thought this was the relief she wanted, but she didn't know that it was actually mine. The pen tip drew the final stroke across the 2 words, Ethan Johnson, and I felt an unprecedented lightness. 3 years of marriage rather than a marriage. It was more like my solo one-man show, an endless conquest mission. Now the mission has failed. Fine. Strategy mission failed. The host will exit this world in 15 days. In my mind, the system's mechanical voice carried not a trace of emotion. Yet to me, it sounded like heaven-sent music. I looked up and pushed a 2-part divorce agreement across to Sophia. She didn't even glance at me. Her long fingers flew across her phone screen, a faint sweetness tugging at the corner of her mouth that even she seemed unaware of. The screen's pale light fell on her face. That tenderness I had never possessed. I knew it was Liam on the other end of the phone, the childhood friend she cherished above all. Signed, she didn't even lift her eyelids, her voice light and airy. "Ethan, you've finally been sensible for once." Sensible. When that word came from her mouth, it carried a condescending air of magnanimity. For the past 3 years, countless times, I was called immature because of her and Liam. She abandoned our engagement anniversary to be with Liam, who had just broken up. When I confronted her, I was immature. She used the money I had worked so hard to earn to fund Liam's dream-chasing trip. When I stopped her, I was immature. She got a call from Liam in the middle of the night, and still in her pajamas, tried to go out. When I blocked her, I was labeled the height of immaturity. Every time I acted childish, it was met with her increasingly cold gaze and the sentence, "Ethan, can you please stop being so petty? Liam and I are just friends." A friend who could casually take up her time, money, and emotions. And me, her legally recognized husband, lived like a domesticated, paid clown. I once believed that as long as I gave enough, even the coldest heart could be warmed. But I forgot that when you try to warm a block of ice, your own hands will freeze stiff. Now, I'm not pretending anymore. My hand is cold. It's time to take it back. I didn't respond to her compliment. I just watched her quietly. I watched her delicate brows and eyes. I watched the smile that surfaced because of another man. This was the last time I would look at her so intently. All the past, those late nights, simmering soup for her, the umbrella delivered to her office on rainy days, the various problems I smoothed over for her, flashed through my mind like a sped-up black and white film, finally freezing into nothingness. Nothing. I'm leaving first. I stood up, pulled out my chair, my movement steady. Sophia finally looked up from her phone. Her delicate brows drew together slightly, seemingly surprised by my decisiveness. In her mind, I would probably cry, demand answers, or like every time before, beg her pitifully not to leave. But today I did nothing. "Where are you going?" she asked instinctively. "Go home and pack your things," I answered concisely. "This apartment we've lived in together for 3 years is in my name. It's my premarital property. The divorce agreement states clearly that the house belongs to me and she can take her personal belongings." She gave a short and lowered her head to play with her phone, as if saying, "Hurry up," yet also as if she didn't care at all. I turned and left without a shred of hesitation. The cafe's glass door separated 2 worlds. Inside the door were her and her childhood friend. Outside was the 15-day countdown I was about to finish. When I got home, I opened all the windows. There really weren't many things that belonged to Sophia. Most of her time was spent at her design studio or at Liam's. This home felt more like a hotel where she occasionally stayed. I dug out a few dust-covered suitcases and got to work. Her clothes, her cosmetics, those expensive art pieces I couldn't understand. I sorted them one by category and neatly packed them into the cases. In one of the suitcases, I found a familiar velvet box. I opened it to find a diamond necklace she had never worn. It was the gift I bought her for our first wedding anniversary with more than half a year's savings. I had spent a lot of money on it. The day I gave it to her, she only glanced at it coldly and said, "It's too precious. It's not suited to me." Later, I saw the same bracelet he gave Sophia on Liam's foreign social app. She was smiling radiantly, and the caption read, "The best gifts come from the person who knows me best." At that moment, my chest felt as if an invisible hand had clenched it, pain making it hard to breathe. Now I pick up that necklace, my fingers grazing the cool diamond, and my heart is utterly calm. I put it back in the most conspicuous spot on top of the box, then close the lid. All afternoon, I cleaned the entire house. Every trace that belonged to her was packed and sealed, neatly stacked in the center of the living room. After finishing all of that, I made myself a cup of tea and sat on the empty sofa. The afterglow of the setting sun poured through the window, stretching my shadow long. For the first time in 3 years, I felt such peace and freedom. My phone buzzed. It was a call from Sophia. I looked at the two characters' wife flashing on the screen and laughed self-mockingly. Then I casually changed the contact back to Sophia in my address book. Then I pressed the answer button. "Ethan, what do you mean?" Her voice on the other end of the line carried a hint of accusatory fire. "What money? What about the money I asked you to transfer to me?" "Liam's travel company is pressing for the final payment. They need $200,000, she said with righteous indignation. I almost forgot. This morning, before she left, she had asked me to transfer $200,000 to her, saying that Liam's travel company needed some working capital. In the past, this had happened countless times. I would have a huge argument with her, and then, under her cold stare and the sigh of, "You really disappoint me," I would reluctantly send the money. But this time, "Sophia," I said calmly, "we've already signed the divorce papers. Legally, I have no obligation to give you or your friends any more money." Silence on the other end of the line. It was fully 10 seconds before she replied in a tone of disbelief. "Ethan, are you keeping score with me over this amount of dollars?" "This is not a small sum, Sophia. That was the money my parents left me." I enunciated each word, my voice low, but like an ice pick. "I used to be willing to give it to you because I considered you my wife. Now we aren't, are we?" She seemed at a loss for words. "Just consider a loan." "Okay. Liam is really in a hurry over there. Transfer it to me first, and I'll pay you back later." "I don't want to lend it." I refused flatly. "Ethan," she finally lost her temper. "Do you have to be so heartless? Are 3 years of marriage worth nothing to you?" 3 years of marriage. I couldn't help but laugh. "Sophia, in these 3 years, have you ever looked at me once? Do you know what I like to eat? What I don't like to eat? Do you know how many all-nighters I pulled to clean up the mess at your studio? Do you know when I was hospitalized last time and called you 37 times? You didn't answer any because Liam was in a bad mood and needed you to be with him?" My voice remained steady the whole time, as if recounting an old matter that had nothing to do with me. But each word made the breathing on the other end of the line grow rapid. "So don't talk to me about sentiment." I cut her off. "The sentiment you want, Liam can give you. I can't, and I don't want to give it anymore." After speaking, I hung up the phone immediately and added her number to the blacklist. The world was completely quiet. I got up very early and made myself a hearty breakfast. Over the past 3 years, my cooking improved greatly, but it was all to cater to Sophia's tastes. She liked light Western dishes and delicate plating. As a true Southerner, I hadn't tasted anything spicy and numbing for a long time. Today, I made a bowl of spicy minced meat dumplings. The heat made my forehead sweat, but it was intensely satisfying. After breakfast, I contacted an agent and put the house on the market. Before I leave this world, I want to settle all my assets, then find a picturesque place and quietly spend my last 10 or so days. The agent was very efficient and soon brought the first wave of clients to view the place. I was showing the apartment to a client when the doorbell suddenly rang so loud it shook the house. I frowned, opened the door, and saw Sophia standing outside with a furious expression and Liam behind her. Sophia froze when she saw the stranger in the room. Then her face grew even uglier. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "Selling the house," I said succinctly. "Selling the house." She raised her voice. "Are you insane? This is our home. How dare you sell it?" The divorce agreement states very clearly that the house is my premarital property and belongs to me. I have the right to dispose of it. I leaned against the door frame, expression indifferent. The agent and the client beside us looked at each other, the atmosphere a bit awkward. "Ethan, we haven't gone to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the paperwork yet, so this marriage doesn't count as ended." She seemed to be grasping at a lifeline. "Once the agreement is signed, it has legal force. Completing the paperwork is just a matter of time." I corrected her. Liam behind her finally spoke. He has a face that women tend to like. Clean, gentle, and at this moment, it carried a touch of perfectly measured melancholy and remorse. "Ethan, don't be like this. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you and Sophia wouldn't have come to this. I'll figure out the money myself. Please don't make any decision you'll regret in a moment of impulse." His words were airtight. He cleaned himself completely of blame while implying that I was the one acting on a moment of impulse, shifting all the responsibility onto me. In the past, that hypocritical look of his was what I hated most. But now, I only found it laughable. "You misunderstand." I looked at him and tugged at the corner of my mouth. "I'm selling the house not because of money and not because of anyone. It's just that I want to live somewhere else." My gaze passed him and fell on Sophia. "Also, the problems between us were never because of him. They were because of you. Sophia, you never loved me." Sophia's face went instantly drained of color. She probably never imagined those words would come from my mouth. Me, who had always catered to her every whim. You're talking nonsense." Her lips trembled. "Whether I'm talking nonsense is something you know in your heart." I was too lazy to argue with him further. "I'm selling the house. I've already packed your things. They're in the living room. Now, please leave and don't disturb my clients viewing the property." I made a pleading gesture. My stance was resolute, leaving no room for compromise. Liam's expression also faltered. He tugged on Sophia's arm. "Sophia, let's go. Don't make things difficult for Ethan." Sophia snatched her hand away and glared at me. "Ethan, do you have to go this far? I'm just taking back what should have been mine, including my dignity." Having said that, I stopped looking at her and turned to the embarrassed clients and the agent, smiling apologetically. "Sorry, a little family dispute. Let's continue viewing the house." I closed the door, shutting out all their shock, anger, and disbelief. Outside, sounds of an argument between Sophia and Liam drifted by, then quickly faded away. For the first time in my life, I was the one holding the steering wheel. The house sold very smoothly. The price was right, and the buyer paid promptly. I completed all the transfer procedures in 3 days, then booked a plane ticket to Yo. During this period, Sophia didn't come to see me again. The packed luggage she had was taken away by the moving service she had called. I didn't receive any messages from her. Perhaps Liam had comforted her, or perhaps she finally faced reality and decided to start her new life. Exactly what I wanted. On the flight to Cohen City, I turned off my phone, leaned against the window, and watched the sea of clouds roll by. These 3 years have felt like a bizarre, surreal dream. I was never from this world. 3 years ago, due to an accident, I was bound to a system called Romance the Female Lead and transported into this urban romance novel centered on Sophia. My task was to pursue her to make her fall in love with me. Unfortunately, I'm not the male lead. I was nothing more than the disposable ex-husband who hindered the lead's romantic development. The system said the male lead, Liam, possessed a protagonist's aura. Sophia's favor toward him was naturally locked. As an outsider, no matter what I did, I couldn't change it. For 3 years, I tried every method. Her favor level hovered stubbornly between -50 and 0. The highest it ever reached was 0. That day, I had my leg broken by a falling outdoor billboard while trying to save her. She stayed with me all night in the private hospital. I thought I had finally moved her. But the next day, Liam called saying he had a cold, and she immediately abandoned me to go care for him. That day, her favorability rating instantly plummeted back to -50. My legs were completely broken. From that moment, I knew I'd lost. Lost utterly and completely. So, when the system announced the mission failed, I felt no reluctance, only relief. If in this life you can't live once for yourself, what difference is there between you and a salted fish? The plane landed at Kuwait City International Airport, and warm, humid air hit me in the face. I took a deep breath and felt completely alive again. I didn't go to those popular tourist spots. Instead, I rented a small courtyard in the city that had a view of Air Lake. The yard was full of plants and flowers, and a golden retriever was lazily lying under a rocking chair. His name was Buddy. The landlords were a very kind, elderly couple, George Miller and Margaret Miller, and they told me that Buddy was well-behaved and didn't bite. For the next few days, I lived the life I'd been dreaming of. I slept in every day, then took Buddy for walks along Arrow Lake. I picked up the camera I'd abandoned years ago and photographed sunrises, sunsets, sang Sean, Ira, and the everyday scenes of the old town. I posted those photos to a newly registered foreign social app account. No location, no captions, just quiet images. I blocked Sophia, but forgot to block our mutual friends. My disappearance finally caused a stir. The first to notice something was wrong was Sophia's friend and my college classmate, Noah. He called me, but my phone was off. He sent WeChat messages, but there was no response. He had no choice but to ask Sophia. I don't know exactly what they said, but the result was that Sophia started calling me like crazy. Of course, she couldn't get through. Then she began bombarding Noah and all our mutual friends on WeChat. Does anyone have any news about Ethan? Where did he go? He sold a house, quit his job, shut off his phone, and no one can reach him. Did something happen to him? Her tone shifted from initially asking to growing anxious and finally panicked. Noah was so annoyed by her that he directly mentioned everyone in their mutual friends group. Don't ask me. I don't know either. It's a married couple's matter. We outsiders should stay out of it. At Sophia, Ethan is missing. Are you asking us? Those words landed on Sophia like a sharp slap across the face. The group chat fell completely silent. After a long while, Sophia finally sent a message. We have already signed the divorce papers. The group erupted. Everyone knew how much I loved Sophia. I had spoiled her rotten. We were the model couple in our circle of friends. Though everyone knew that in this relationship, only I was trying. What the hell? Is this for real? Sophia, you can't be joking, right? Ethan loves you so much. How could he possibly divorce you? What on earth is going on? Sophia didn't reply again. Later, through Noah's retelling, I pieced together what happened next. My disappearance was the first time Sophia felt panic. That panic wasn't from love, but from losing control. A satellite that always revolved around her suddenly slipped off its orbit and vanished into the vast universe. She was used to my presence, used to my efforts, used to my unconditional tolerance and safety net. When all of that suddenly disappeared, a corner of her world collapsed. She began to search for me like a madwoman. She went to my old home. My parents had long since passed away, and the old house stood empty. She went to my former tech company. HR told her that I had submitted my resignation a week ago and taken all my work files. She even reported it to the police, but because I'm an adult who chose to cut off contact, the police couldn't file a case. During this time, Liam stayed by her side. He comforted her gently. Sophia, don't worry. Ethan may just want to be alone for a while. Once he calms down, he'll come back. He never used to be like this, Sophia murmured, her face pale. People change, Liam said meaningfully. Maybe he's just trying to get your attention this way. Sophia fell silent. She may have also thought that I was playing hard to get, using an extreme method to force her to compromise, to force her to hold on. So, she stopped looking. She began to wait. She was certain that I would, as after countless arguments before, lick my wounds and then return to her with a sincere heart, wagging my tail. Unfortunately for her, she guessed wrong. My foreign social media account was discovered by a mutual friend. He posted a link to my account in the group. This is Ethan, right? The photos look like his style. Soon, everyone flooded into my small account. They saw Safong and Aru. They saw sunrises and sunsets. They saw leisurely tourists in the old city and me laughing heartily in the sunshine. In the photo, I'm wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans, sitting on the rocks by Ira Lake with a gentle buddy lying beside me. I've lost some weight, but the gloomy tension in my brows and eyes is completely gone. I look relaxed and bright. That's a state I hadn't been in for the past 3 years. The group chat exploded again. So Ethan, Wendy, and Joe, seeing him like this, he's living quite carefree. I told you it's definitely fine. Isn't this better than being the punching bag at home? Buddy is so cute. Is Ethan planning to settle down over there? Sophia, of course, also saw these photos. I can imagine the stunned, incredulous look that would have been on her face when she saw them. What she thought was retreat to advance, what she thought was eliciting sympathy in front of these photos became an utter joke. I'm not acting. I really do not want her anymore. This realization, like a heavy hammer, struck Sophia's heart hard. She tasted being abandoned for the first time that night. Late, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Noah calling from his girlfriend, Olivia Brown's phone. Ethan, you finally answered. Noah's voice sounded worn out. Sophia got drunk and is acting out at my place. You need to. She's drunk. She should find Liam. I interrupted him calmly. Noah, we're done. No. She kept crying, kept calling her name. Noah sounded troubled. She said she regretted it. Said she knew she was wrong. Ethan, maybe you too regret. I give a light chuckle. What she regrets isn't losing me. It's losing someone who always obeyed her. Noah, you my friend. You should understand me. Silence. On the other end of the line, I could hear Sophia's muffled sobs in the background. Ethan, you're back. I was wrong. Please don't leave me. The voice was shrill, filled with despair. If I had heard this half a month ago, I probably would have died of heartache, then run to her side without hesitation. But now, the lake of my heart was completely calm without a single ripple. There is no greater sorrow than a dead heart. That's probably exactly how I feel right now. I said into the phone and to myself, Noah, tell her for me. Wish her happiness. From now on, don't contact me anymore. I hung up and blocked that number. Outside, moonlight flowed like water, spilling onto the surface of Arrow Lake, making it glitter. I wasn't drunk at all. Yet, I felt as if I had been in a great dream. Now, the dream was over. My last day in Yajo. I woke up very early, wanting to see the sunrise over Arrow Lake one more time. The sky brightened like the belly of a fish. Golden light gradually broke through the clouds, dyeing the whole world in warm colors. It's beautiful. I took out my phone and captured this final scene. Then I received a prompt from the system. Countdown 24 hours. Program exit initiating. Host may choose to retain memories of this world or perform a format. Keep them. I chose without a second thought. This dream, for better or worse, is a part of my life. I don't want to forget. I booked an afternoon return flight. Not back to the city Sophia and I once shared, but to a place where no one knows me. I plan to wait at the airport until the final countdown reaches 0. Then, silently, I will evaporate from this world. I said goodbye to George Miller and Margaret Miller and patted Buddy's head. It seemed to sense the parting, rubbing its head against my palm and making a low whimper in its throat. Goodbye, Buddy. I dragged my simple suitcase and left the little courtyard that had given me brief peace. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I arrived at the airport. I found a quiet corner to sit in, put on my headphones, and watch the planes rise and fall outside the window. Each takeoff represented a new beginning. Every landing also signified a return. As for me, I had neither a beginning nor anywhere to return to. The airport announcement called for passengers to board. My phone suddenly started ringing like crazy. They were one unfamiliar number after another, relentless. I frowned, but in the end, I pressed answer. Ethan. It was Sophia's voice, hoarse, urgent with a sob. I froze. How did she know this number? I clearly had a new SIM. Where are you? Tell me, where are you? She sounded like she was clutching at a last straw. How did you get this number? I asked. I begged Noah. I begged all your friends. I had someone check your ticket information. Ethan, don't go listen to me. She spoke so fast, afraid I'd hang up the next second. There's nothing to explain. No, there is, she cried. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Those 3 years, it was my fault. I took your kindness for granted. I was blind. I couldn't tell who truly cared about me. Liam, he's not at all what I imagined. He was with me only for my money, to use my connections. He never loved me. I gave back everything he gave me. I've cut him off completely. Ethan, please believe me. I listened quietly, saying nothing. If these words had been said to me 3 years earlier, even a month earlier, I would have been ecstatic. But now it was too late. Sophia, does any of this have anything to do with me? I asked calmly. The sobbing on the other end of the line stopped abruptly. She seemed not to have expected that I would react this way. What? What do you mean? What I mean is whatever happens between you and Liam is your own business. Who you love or don't love is also your own business. From the moment I signed the divorce papers, none of it has anything to do with me. No, that's not it. She protested in a panic. Ethan, didn't you love me? Didn't you say you would love me forever? Yeah, I used to love you so much. I looked out the window as a plane roared into the clouds. Loved you enough to die for you, but once you've died once, you don't want to die again. My love was exhausted in that surgery that broke my leg for you, in the 37 missed calls from you, in your repeated immature accusations. Love is a consumable, Sophia. You used it up. This was probably the calmest and cruelest thing I have ever said in my life. On the other end of the line, there was a deathly silence broken only by her uncontrollable, shattered sobs. Which airport are you at? Tell me. I'll come find you right away. She finally found her voice again, full of desperate madness. It's meaningless, Sophia. It's meaningful, she screamed. Ethan, will you court me one more time? Just once. I promise this time I'll behave. I'll love you properly. I'll listen to whatever you say. I'll do whatever you ask. Court. Hearing the word come from her mouth was the height of irony. I laughed, the sound carrying a trace of sorrow. Sophia, do you know? I never wanted to conquer anyone. I only wanted to find someone who could live a good life with me, who would give me a hug when I'm tired, who would stay by my side when I'm sick. I thought that person was you, but I was wrong. Now I don't want to try anymore. I'm tired. Countdown 10, 9, 8. The system's countdown rang in his mind. No, Ethan, don't hang up, please. At the other end of the airport, a commotion suddenly broke out. I instinctively looked up. Through the crowd pressing together, I saw a familiar figure. It was Sophia. She was wearing a crumpled trench coat, her hair disheveled, tears streaked on her face, and she was running toward me as if nothing else mattered. She ran while glancing around like a child who had lost her beloved toy. Our gazes met in the air. She saw me. In that instant, an astonishing light erupted in her eyes. She ran toward me even faster. Ethan, she screamed my name until her voice was raw. The people around shot her strange looks, but she didn't care. In her eyes, it was only me. 3. She moved closer and closer to me. I could even make out the regret and pleading in her eyes. 2. She reached out her hand toward me as if trying to grasp something. 1. I watched her tear-streaked face, watched the hand she reached out to me with. And in the end, I only tugged at the corner of my mouth and gave her an extremely indifferent farewell smile. Goodbye, Sophia. Goodbye. My absurd 3 years post-detached from the world. Everything went black and I lost all consciousness. Bonus. I didn't know how long the darkness lasted. When Ethan regained consciousness, he was sitting on a soft bed. The room was familiar, the furnishings familiar, and sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains, casting mottled light and shadow on the floor. He looked down, at his hand. Everything felt so real. He came back, returned his own world. Before he could sort out his thoughts, a voice, both familiar and strange, suddenly sounded in his mind. No longer the cold mechanical system tone from before, this voice carried a subtle, indescribable, complex emotion, like a sigh and like some kind of proclamation detected. Conquest targets, Sophia. Regret value, 100%. Sincerity value, 99%. Hidden task, love is redemption. Triggered. Ethan was startled. What do you mean? Warning. Abandoning the task will cause the host's soul to be permanently annihilated due to energy depletion. Accepting the task will grant you one chance to reset the novel world's timeline. The time will reset to 3 years before your first meeting with Sophia. But as the price, all memories of you and her will be temporarily sealed. The memory seal will only be lifted when the specific condition of a kiss of true heart is triggered. The voice paused, as if giving him time to process. Then, in a tone almost beguiling, it asked the question capable of overturning everything. Ethan Johnson, do you accept?